Okay, hello everyone. I'd like to go through a spreadsheet that I've created of Bitcoin speakers. So what I've done, I've put together a spreadsheet based upon the last 4 years of research that I've been doing in the Bitcoin space. And it's got the speaker's name, a link to their website or their Twitter page, their corporate website, the YouTube channel, etc. And it's got some comments that I've made in there about each speaker, along with a rating of them. So for those of you out there who would like to develop a world-class education about Bitcoin, I highly recommend that you go to my website, and the link is in the description to this video. Download the Bitcoin Speakers spreadsheet, have a bit of a look through it, and start subscribing to the channels, the YouTube channels of those speakers. Start following their Twitter posts, bookmark their corporate websites, and stay up to date with what they've got to say. So what I saw, and I've been following a lot of these people for many years, they've put out a lot of great content. Nobody had actually developed a spreadsheet that sort of consolidated them all as and aggregated them, I suppose, into the one source to make it easy for anybody who's new to the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency space to have a go from not knowing much about it at all to knowing where the best sources of that information is and developing that world-class education. So without further ado, I'm going to start going through the spreadsheet now. Okay, so you can see on screen now the spreadsheet, and go from the top. So it's in alphabetical order. At the top here, I've got a couple of the institutional players. So Grayscale Investment Trust is a company that has been buying up a huge amount of Bitcoins. MicroStrategy is the company headed by the CEO, Michael Saylor, and he's one of the first big company or public company of a reasonable size that has purchased Bitcoin as a reserve treasury asset. PayPal has gotten into crypto in a big way. They're buying up a large amount of the supply, so is Square. In fact, between Grayscale, PayPal and Square, the majority of the 900 Bitcoins per day, in terms of the supply that the miners are making available, is being bought up by them. So ARK Invest, I highly recommend having a look at ARK Invest. They've got some of the best analysts on the planet when it comes to innovative technology investing. So I highly recommend that you all check out ARK Invest. Let me just zoom in a little bit on this. That's better. Now, in this spreadsheet, there's only about 2 women. The rest of the people are men. So you can see it's a very male-dominated space, cryptocurrency, which is a shame. We need to really get more women into the space. Now, Abigail Johnson, I don't know a whole lot about her. I haven't done a lot of research about her, but she's the CEO of Fidelity Investments. So maybe check out their link and have a look at what they're about. Adam Back is a British cryptographer and cypherpunk. He's the CEO of Blockstream, and which he co-founded in 2014. He invented Hashcash, which is used in the Bitcoin mining process. I very highly recommend him. Check out his Twitter page. Altcoin Daily. So these are two brothers that present cryptocurrency related YouTube content. Andreas Antonopoulos, he is the best educator in the Bitcoin space. I highly recommend that for those of you who don't know a whole lot about Bitcoin, that you check out Andreas, have a look through all his videos on YouTube, and he is the most honest and most trustworthy person out there in the Bitcoin space. I highly, highly recommend his material. This guy here, Anil said so. So said so is not his real surname, I wouldn't think. But have a look on his Twitter page. He's got a whole lot of very insightful posts about Bitcoin, which represent a lot of detailed thoughts and many hours of research and deep insight. Anthony Pompliano, he's got a podcast. He interviews people in the Bitcoin space. I highly recommend his material. Do check him out. Asset Dash, check them out. It's a site which lists assets with an easy way to see and compare the size of Bitcoin to the size of large corporations. Barry Silbert, an early Bitcoin institutional investor, check him out. Benjamin Cowan, have a look at his YouTube channel. He presents a whole lot of interesting technical analysis about Bitcoin. Bill Miller, don't know much about him. Bitcoin Corporate Treasuries website, have a look at that, bitcointreasuries.org. That is a list of public corporations which have purchased Bitcoin. I highly recommend that you check them out. Keep a close eye on the Bitcoin Corporate Treasuries website so that you can see what institutional players are buying up Bitcoin. Bob Lucas, I highly recommend Bob Lucas and his channel. Extremely well informed technical and fundamental analysis of Bitcoin. Do check him out. Bobby Lee, he's another early Bitcoin investor, and he works for an institution that invests in Bitcoin and provides products and services around Bitcoin. Brian Armstrong, go to YouTube, have a look at some of his videos. He's the CEO of Coinbase. I haven't done a whole lot of research into him, but he was another early Bitcoin investor. Cane Island Digital Research. Wow, this is a really interesting guy, really interesting website. Extremely insightful analysis about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I very highly recommend Cane Island Digital Research. Now, some of the research that they put out is quite technical, quite advanced, but a lot of their content is also very accessible to the average person. So, yeah, highly recommend it. Catherine Wood, ARK Invest, extremely intelligent woman. I very highly recommend Catherine Wood and ARK Invest. Okay, Chamath. Chamath is a billionaire. He is an early Bitcoin investor. I very highly recommend you check him out. Look at his Twitter page. Have a look at some of his videos on YouTube. He does some videos with Real Vision Finance. Some of his videos with Raoul Paul are very interesting and worthwhile to watch. Chamath has got it's possible that Chamath could become one of the world's richest men because of his early Bitcoin investments. He was actually an early Facebook executive back when they first got started, made a huge amount of money through his shares in Facebook and invested in other assets, which included Bitcoin, and he owns a lot of Bitcoin. So keep an eye on him. In one of his latest Twitter posts, he said that if Bitcoin hits 150,000 per coin, he's going to buy the Hamptons and turn it into low-cost social housing. So he's definitely someone to watch. Clark Towson, yours truly. Well, I'm a degree qualified computer scientist, 21 years now experience in technology. Of course, I was using technology a lot earlier than when I was first working as well. So, this is just my working experience. I'm currently a high-performance computing or supercomputing system administrator at the Defense Science and Technology Group. And Colin Talks Crypto. Check out his channel, underrated YouTube channel, which talks about the potential price Bitcoin could achieve in upcoming bull runs. So I recommend his work. He's an interesting analyst who certainly deserves more views and more subscribers than what he has. Crypto Capital Venture, technical analysis about Bitcoin. I highly recommend his material. It's very good. Dan Held. Dan, I very highly recommend. He is an early Bitcoin investor. You can see him on Twitter, and he's got a number of Medium articles as well. Do check him out. Dan Moorhead, the CEO of Pantera Capital. They are very, very interesting. The material that those guys are putting out is fantastic. So check out some of their Medium articles as well about Bitcoin. They love Bitcoin. Daniel Jeffries, very, very underrated, not so well known analyst in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. Very, very insightful analysis and an essayist who recognized the value of Bitcoin early. David Charm, he's an American computer scientist and cryptographer. I highly recommend his work. DaVinci J15, very, very early, extremely early Bitcoin investor. Have a look at his YouTube channel. You can see his videos from 2011 to 2013, where he's encouraging people to get into Bitcoin that early. Eric Voorhees, check him out, early Bitcoin investor, very smart guy. I highly recommend his material. He's done some interesting debates with Peter Schiff, very interesting. Frederick Hayek, he's an Austrian-born, Austrian-British economist and philosopher, best known for his defense of classical liberalism. Check him out. Greg Maxwell, extremely smart guy, American computer scientist, Bitcoin core developer, and the former CTO or Chief Technology Officer of Blockstream. Hal Finney passed away. He was a developer for PGP Corporation, was the second developer hired after Phil Zimmerman. He was the first Bitcoin user, literally the first Bitcoin user. There's speculation that Hal Finney might actually be Satoshi Nakamoto, or the creator, founder of Bitcoin. But yeah, Hal died a number of years ago, which is very sad. Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter. Thank you, Mr. Dorsey, for ejecting my Twitter developer account. Well done. I really needed that developer account, okay, for some of the work that I was doing. He's an early Bitcoin institutional investor. I do recommend him. He's a big believer in Bitcoin, has been buying up a whole lot of Bitcoin for himself and his corporations. Jack Mallers, Zap CEO, very young guy, extremely intelligent. Used his prime time on Prime TV to describe why Bitcoin was such an important investment for the average person, and how the average person is getting screwed due to all the money printing that the governments and central banks of the world engage in. And he was talking about how the average person operates their life at a loss due to this, and they need to find investments that outpace inflation over and above 15% per year, and the only investment out there that's able to do that is Bitcoin. James Altucher recently got into a big shitstorm on the internet due to an article he published about New York. He is a New Yorker. He talked about how New York is never going to recover from the coronavirus pandemic, and it's an interesting article. Look up James Altucher. He's a very insightful tripper, as I say. I do highly recommend him. He's got some great stuff out there. James Milani, he's a new guy in the space. Now, he has really done his homework when it comes to Bitcoin. Fantastic research and analysis, and I highly recommend his material. That man has been seriously studying Bitcoin like I have for the past 4 years. He hasn't put out a whole lot of content, but it's obvious it's obvious that his content, or it's obvious looking at his content, that he has done a huge amount of research and put in a huge amount of time and effort into his research, and that takes time before it filters out into content, especially original content. So I've been through his videos a number of times, and I highly recommend that each of you have a look through them. He's got this mind map that's available at this link, which he made up about Bitcoin. Jameson Lopp, Bitcoin engineer and early Bitcoin investor. I highly recommend his work. Very, very smart guy. Jeff Berwick, the dollar vigilante, he is a early Bitcoin investor, has or had a YouTube channel where he talked a lot about freedom. He is an anarchist. I can't say I highly recommend his material. I do recommend that you check him out. Some of his views could be considered quite extreme by the mainstream. So take some of the stuff that he says with a grain of salt. He does have some very interesting ideas. I don't think that the world that his worldview is going to come to fruition, but he does have some excellent points. Jeffrey Tucker. This is a very smart guy, editorial director for the American Institute for Economic Research. I highly recommend that you check out him and look at his material. Jimmy Song, he's a Bitcoin educator. He's published a number of really interesting articles, and he's also published books about Bitcoin. Do check him out. I highly recommend him. John Mcafee, well, what can we say about this guy, right? He's currently sitting in jail. He's an extremely intelligent individual. He's made some poor decisions over time, which has cost him his freedom. So despite his intelligence, he's ended up on the wrong side of the law. John Matonis, check out that guy. You can have a look at some of his early material on RT or Russia Today. Go to YouTube. He did an early video on Bitcoin with Max Kaiser. Lark Davis, he's a cryptocurrency YouTuber. Check him out. He publishes some regular videos about Bitcoin. Lynn Olden, I highly recommend Lynn Olden. She's one of the smartest women in the Bitcoin space. Extremely smart analyst. She doesn't just cover Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but she also covers stocks as well. Very interesting person. Mark Andreessen. Well, what can we say about Mark Andreessen? American entrepreneur, investor, and software engineer, co-author of Mosaic, the first widely used web browser, co-founder of Netscape, co-founder and general partner of Silicon Valley venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz. I highly recommend Mark Andreessen. Check out his articles. This one in particular, Why Bitcoin Matters. That is a must-read article. Mark Yusko. He is a early Bitcoin institutional investor. He's got some interesting ideas. Check him out. Marty Bent. I haven't looked too close into Marty Bent, Matt Odell. Max Kaiser, Russia Today host or co-host, along with his wife Stacey Herbert. Very early Bitcoin investor. Highly recommend his material. Worked on Wall Street, and he's got a great deal of experience in the investment game. Michael Saylor. Well, what can we say about Michael Saylor? Visionary CEO, saw the opportunity to invest in Bitcoin. He's the CEO of MicroStrategy and buyer of $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. I believe that will go down as one of the best business moves of all time. Extremely smart individual, right? So, yeah, Michael Saylor. It's really interesting, but in time, when we look back on the decision that he made to invest his corporations and his shareholders' funds so heavily into Bitcoin, I really do believe that there'll be MBA textbooks written about this guy and this decision and how it's one of the best business decisions of all time. Mike Novogratz, early Bitcoin institutional investor. Check him out. He's a guy with plenty of money. I think he's a billionaire. But yeah, he's one to watch. He's got some interesting stuff out there. Now, he's not on the same technical level as a number of the people in here, but his views are very interesting on a macro level. Milton Friedman. Wow, if you haven't seen his documentary Free to Choose, do watch it. Make it, spend the time, make it a priority. Watch Free to Choose, okay? Milton Friedman, he was an American economist who received the 1976 Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences for his research on consumption analysis, monetary history and theory, and the complexity of stabilization policies. In the documentary Free to Choose, there's actually a famous video that from that documentary where he's holding up a pencil, and you want to check that out. It's a really important video. Murray Rothbard, American economist of the Austrian School, economic historian and political theorist. Rothbard was the founder and leading theoretician of anarcho-capitalism. Check him out, highly recommended. Nick Szabo, check him out, computer scientist, highly recommend his stuff. Paul Graham, wow, what can we say about Paul Graham? He has got a website, paulgraham.com. Do check out his essays. He actually wrote what I consider to be the best essay ever written on how to make wealth. Paul Graham is an essayist and startup founder, as well as a venture capitalist. And his essay, How to Make Wealth, guided many of my actions in the startup world. So I highly recommend his stuff. Peter McCormack, he's a Bitcoin podcaster and interviewer of some of the best people in the Bitcoin space. Check out his podcast, What Bitcoin Did. Highly recommended. Peter Schiff, well, what can we say about him? Peter Schiff is a gold bug known for bashing Bitcoin. Now, I'm a regular listener to Peter Schiff's podcast, The Peter Schiff Show. I highly recommend that you check him out. He is not a fan of Bitcoin, okay? And he's been wrong about Bitcoin for many years now. Interestingly, his son is a big fan of Bitcoin and an investor in Bitcoin. Peter Thiel, American billionaire, check him out. Plan B, the creator of the stock to flow, the Bitcoin stock to flow model. So you want to have a look at his material on Twitter. I highly recommend Plan B, and yeah, his stock to flow model. It's going to be very interesting to see if Bitcoin continues to follow that model, or whether the model will be debunked. The jury's still out. It has fit Bitcoin's price increase over time. Has fit very well his stock to flow model. Preston Sy and Robert Breedlove. I haven't checked out a lot of their stuff, but I'm told that their material is very good. Raoul Paul, go to YouTube, check him out. He's the Real Vision founder, extremely knowledgeable about macro investing. He grasped the Bitcoin opportunity and went all in. He's one of the co-founders of Real Vision. Check out Real Vision Finance. It's an aggregator. Some of the best financial minds. They've got a YouTube-like website which presents videos of these insightful financial minds speaking. Roger Ver. Well, what can we say about Roger? Okay, I think I'm going to cut this video here, and we're going to start up in a second video.